since you're not correct channel. Anyways, start this. To start this. Okay. Uh, and with that, we are up. Let me test. Yeah, this is finally back up. I guess. What the crazy thing to be alive. Anyways, um, so should we stuff? Shall we come up? I don't know. Or what? Welcome. Uh, I kind of crazy to think that so much stuff happened. It's nothing changed. Oh man, Ah, kind of nice, I guess. Kind of nice. And also, let me spin. Not yet. Hide for myself. Yeah. Let's see if that is really a bot or not. Or what's up with that, anyways. Also, am I not speaking directly into the mic? What's up with that? Why is the volume so low? Like, am I not forget to project the voice? Let me. Is that what it's lacking? I think so. I think so. I just lose my practice from time to time. So, anyways, here we are. I am incredibly cold. I want to say that. My hands, one hand, the one that I um, cleaned with, it's incredibly cold. But anyways, it doesn't really come to the point. Huh? Is that an expression? No, right? Something more like it doesn't really have anything to deal with the point. Yeah. So, anyways, I don't know. There is so much stuff to talk about. I hope I can make any particular sense whatsoever. Ah, you know, it has been. It feels like so long since the last time we were here that it is certainly an experience to be back. I guess I don't know. Ah, I don't really know. I guess the wonderfulness of all of that is that always you don't truly know how much of an habit you have created around certain things until you part ways with them, let's say. Therefore, this case, I believe, is very much the same, even if certainly it isn't even close to being the same, just by the nature of yeah, it being something that you have practiced so much to a certain extent, and by that same nature, it is that right now I am I am here. I guess I don't know. I I don't know. I don't know. Basically that I guess. But yeah, craziness, complete craziness. I guess there is a word that I don't know if it is, yeah, if it exists on. See, no, I don't know. I don't like the translation, man. Why didn't you use verbosity? Verbosity, yeah. That's the expression. I don't like the other one. Verbosity, yeah. I like that one. I prefer that one. Then that's one translation. So my point was, finally, I can release all of that verbosity like anything else. It's not my mind or other people. So yeah. Ah. Hello, hello everyone. We are back, I guess. We are so back after like I don't know a month, like two. What? We are finally back. Are we? I don't know. I would even try to say that we are. We really are back. I so far for now. I believe we are back, but I don't truly know if we are back. So yeah, that's kind of the situation right now. Anyways, that will be for later, I guess. As always, hello everyone. It is a pleasure to be here. It feels quite nice, certainly, to be back. As always, thanks for all. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for lurking. Thanks for watching the VOD also. Thanks for everything. And welcome. Today in particular, only ahora we have to say hi. So yeah. No, wait. Just in time also. And also hello to Savannah. Welcome. Uh, Here we stand without an lose. Patiently waiting, I guess, ideas to come. I don't know. Anyways, hello. I guess, I guess certainly it is kind of crazy to see. Is it crazy to see me streaming? Like, is it really something weird? I don't consider that an anomaly or anything outside of the ordinary. Even if I don't really stream every single day like I tried to do before, it still has some qualities pertaining in general, um, existing. I try to, let's say, be out there, but maybe, yeah, perhaps only if you know me or through Steam. I guess we are uh, we are here. Uh, Finally, only through that. Everything else is kind of not real. I don't know. Not not so evident for those who don't experience that. Is is Anna here or is she still like in ads then? Uh, just in case. Let me say the like just in case. Um, just as I finished typing. Welcome, Savannah. Sorry. Hello. Welcome. Yeah. Sorry. I typed that there. Basically, I guess it happened that the first wave of ads, but also the pre-rolls and all of that ended up getting all together to add to like 2 minutes of ads, probably something like that. But I can say something more important. Thank you for watching them. They are like probably 1 cent each, so certainly 7 cents of contribution. Nice. But anyways, that's not the point. Sorry. Welcome. So, continuing with what I was trying to say, I guess certainly it is kind of weird to see me s- streaming. I don't know. I guess the weirdness mostly comes from myself and similar, like I'm trying to get accustomed to being here and such back again, supposedly implying that I do get accustomed. So yeah, um, surprising enough, we're we should be back. I don't truly know. We should be back. So into a more normal regularity, perhaps. I don't know that yet. But yeah, the main point is we are here, and with that, I am more than happy. Yeah, I don't know why will it be weird to say that I missed being here. Like certainly, certainly. Why will it be? I don't know. There are too many things to talk about, but yeah, something like that is also worth considering as to why, in some cases, such notions arise and whatever. I don't know. The point is, it's always a pleasure to be here, and it's always nice to do so, even if we have sometimes not so much time in our hands. Not that it is one of those occasions. So far, as long as nothing goes wrong, supposedly, we should have like 3 hours or so. And with that, it should be more than enough for a little bit of stimulation. Perhaps, perhaps, and only implying that if I organize myself well enough, it might happen that we could even try to go for like 4. But so far, I don't think that will happen. I am not capable of lasting that long. I do realize that I exhaust myself too much when I only speak, so but maybe we can do something of that sort by reading or once again continue the lectures later on. But now, the present moment is we're only going to be here discussing stuff and continuing a normal existence, I guess. Not nothing else. This is more than enough as of right now. And with that, I am more than satisfied. I can say it. I guess okay. It does have a little bit of weirdness behind it because it's like it's so little with what I do say that I am comfortable with right now that it ends up feeling almost as a lie, even in my own eyes. Because how is it that with almost nothing I am happy? What I don't know. I guess the sense of just having the chance of being here is more than enough. It is like, yeah, I guess it does sound quite chummy. I think it is the definition, but it is a pleasure to be quote unquote back after, I don't know, like months to months of not regular activity in any degree. Why? Why do I why do I gain by that? So I don't know. I don't know. The point is once again happiness with which I move myself to keep existing. So yeah. Ah, eh, life is great, I guess. And with that I I convince myself that we are doing well. So I don't know. Anyways. That besides, sorry. Let me try to start with something real after how much 15 minutes of really saying nothing at all. Um, yeah, it has been quite a long time since the last occasion once again, so we have a lot of information gathered. I will try to make the best of my efforts to explain things properly, even if so far they are only going to be said later on, as always. Not as always. As I feel like doing it today, we will end up moving on to a more visually helpful part. Not so much only me speaking, but give me like, I don't know, 10, not 10, 30, 40, 50 minutes maybe of me just speaking. Thank you. So yeah, as of right now, moving on from that, I don't know, I haven't, it does feel almost like time traveling. perfect way to start a sentence. It does feel almost like we are time traveling to a certain extent. The fact that we are back here, and I do have quite a lot of stuff in my mind as of right now to think about, and it is surprising to see that in the time I left, let's say, I consumed like probably 10 or something like that, and it never stops to amaze me how incredibly useful it is to keep learning things. Like, you will believe that at some point there will be a limit that you will discover, and there will be a barrier that you find yourself in which knowledge stops being in any way particularly useful to try to integrate to your life, because it already represents something that you should be aware of, and something that you don't, if it is something that you are not aware of, something that you don't really have the opportunity to use in your normal life. Yet somehow, the opposite is true. As in, so many times I have found myself thinking about things that do apply strictly, not strictly as in only in that, but um, commonly in daily life and in the day-to-day activity existing and such. And because of all of those things, it it does feel quite nice to have the chance to not only appreciate them, but also to see how much more you end up discovering about the world. To a certain extent, it is, I don't know, it feels, it does feel weird to say it, but it is almost as if one were in a baby like state in which you barely understand things. And the more you learn, the more, this very common saying of the more you learn, the more you understand that you don't really know anything. But in a real level, in a practical visual level, it is that it happens to you that now you end up discovering more about the nature of the world in which you reside. And because of that, it is that later on you end up having the possibility of confronting and accepting or not if it is true or not that your world is still an incognito to you, because it does possess too many things that are outside of your realm of understanding as of the moment of you thinking about it. And it keeps happening, at the very least in my case, that those moments and those ideas keep appearing, and it feels quite nice to keep on expanding that. It is like, yeah, it might feel too weird to say it, but it feels almost as if you're always tingling a part of your brain that gets satisfaction, but from the fact of accepting that the world itself becomes more understandable to you, not like something of visual pleasure, but more like something that only inside of the brain you can experience, let's say, or inside of the mind, perhaps not exactly the brain, but yeah, more like, sorry, more like the mind. Certainly, you need to think about what's going on. Also, you need to stop and appreciate where is it that you are standing and such. So it isn't like, wow, automatically the chemicals of the brain have deciphered that you have advanced a little bit more in your recognition of life. No, no, no. It happens more like you just simply keep going. And because you have always the, yeah, your process of thinking activated, let's say, you unavoidably come to analyze what is it that you're standing in a, yeah, almost in an attempt to, as always, orient yourself towards those things that you wish to do, and those things that you should be doing but you're avoiding somehow. And in the process of doing that, because you have advanced in any particular way, then it is that you recognize how you have advanced in any manner, and how can that be, I believe, so used in a meaningful way? And because this is so much of a continuum, it it can always exist in life, but we don't truly search for that. I mean, we don't even have a proper definition for such feelings so far, in at the very least, in the common dialect of the people and the day-to-day language. We have, I do believe it. We certainly have a problem in that sense. I say that's something bad because it certainly is good and it certainly feels nice to have the opportunity to immerse yourself thinking, let's say, and because you do it with enough intention and because you do it with enough passion almost, you you end up discovering later on how is it that in the process of thinking and in the process of once again expanding your field of view in terms of the world that you inhabit, why doing it actively helps you continue further down your goals and also to aid those who are around you in terms of people. Thus, I feel like, thus, I, yeah, sorry, I was going to say deserve. I don't really think that is a logical word. Thus, does seem fit of receiving your help, not because they really are in any particular way deserving of it. Nobody has a sense of deserve of anything. We have only created that concept because we live in a society, but they are capable enough of receiving your help, and because you can do it also, it ends up being in your hands the possibility of doing it, and because most often than not, the capacity of thinking that you possess also pushes you to analyze the consequences of not helping those who are around you. The moment in which you expand your view field, you accept the responsibilities that come with that, let's say, and you also let it naturally happen that you move yourself towards helping others. In those moments, it is only that you can experience multiple types of pleasures. Once again, born out of the act of thinking, I will describe it, not out of any physical type of excitement or any physiological response based on intakes and outtakes. What? Why did it peak? What? Did the microphone peak? Anyways, um, in any intake or outtake of stuff, only on helping others, like in actions that in no way correlate to the mental state in which you find yourself. It is like, okay, yeah, it is as when you are, for example, feeling good because you are doing exercise. There is certainly a part of feeling good that does happen because in the exercise you excite your I think it is your glands to release a little bit of uh, for a vaguer description because I can't really remember biology that good. Um, Painkillers, uh, hormones that help you not feel so tired in the moment of doing physical activity. There is always that, but I mean it in a sense of you can't really force it to be overwhelmed by the amount of numbing sensations that you have in your body when you are doing physical activity, even less when you're with others. Not in that sense of, wow, you have that type of physical inputs to notice that you're feeling good. It is more like, yeah, maybe, maybe. There might be a problem in this description, and that is certainly we are observing it from the side of somebody who is fully integrated into society to the point to which they like to fulfill their roles because they can also realize how negative it is that they do not commit to their part in the society in which they are, yeah, in which they are existing as of that moment. I said it before, kind of, that they, the individual becomes aware enough of their responsibilities, and because this very well known idea of maybe I don't really feel like doing it, but what I don't really feel like going through is the negative consequences of my actions. Therefore, even if I don't really like to do something, I will do it because I wish to not go through the negative aspects of my life, you know? And I don't, not of my life, of the life that I could have. And because I can even more avoid them, I will always try my best to not have them affect me in any negative way. So it ends up happening that this type of people realize I I I can do stuff and I can avoid the consequences while also feeling good, let's say. Or maybe something more logical, I believe. When you start acting that way, it is that you realize also that it does feel good. You won't, out of nowhere, come into this conclusion yourself. As I have been trying to say, there is something outside of the physical realm that is in the set of pleasure that you feel when you fulfill your role, that sense. And it can't, at least so far personally, I can't describe it. Maybe you have to experience it yourself to really understand what's the message here. But yeah, um, going back into the point, I guess those situations are quite useful. And once again, going back into the original first discussion, I find myself traversing through such situations quite lately with all of the information that I do possess about this world and similar. I, yes, something that instantly came to my mind as I said that obviously is always the um, phrase of knowledge without action is meaningless, certainly. I think that was something like, we talked about him before, maybe it was Karl Popper, perhaps. But anyways, the point is, now it's time to try and apply any of the knowledge acquired in a practical way. But I mean, I don't know. I always wanted to talk about this, but I am not ready yet. So I will move onto something. Uh, I mean, it's quite crazy to see that there are so many things to do always, and there are so many possibilities that you have to choose one. And even if you don't really feel like you chose, your actions do have outcomes that affect the rest of not only your existence, but everything else that might seem affected at first, and also those secondary targets of the consequences of your actions, and obviously even more, everything else that happens afterwards. And all of that is surprisingly close to one another, let's say. And even if one doesn't truly realize how much of an impact all of these things have in life, the reality of such events is that commonly these things do play a huge role in life in general because life itself does allow for these instances, and somehow we don't really feel like they're important at all, no? But I guess the problem is our own perception, maybe. I don't know. I don't. Yeah, I don't really wish to see it like that, even if it doesn't really feel good. Um, I One can find ways to convince themselves to make it feel good enough because um, I guess that is part of being sentient, no? Um, Responsibilities lets you, yeah, the concept of having responsibilities and also having tasks that you need to fulfill in life lets you create pleasure from certain types of activities that others might as well find fully horrible to do and fully annoying to try to commit to. So at least that's that. But yeah, I don't know. Anyways, give me a second because I'm having my mouth dry. So yeah, let me drink some water. Fine. So, anyways, uh, give me another second. So there it is, kind of. Um, I was trying to something different, and I was in the process of thinking about it, also drinking some water. But the main thing is, I remember something that I had been annoyed with lately, and certainly a lot. People, why do people say that they can't really think fast? What is the problem with not giving yourself the chance of increasing your mental capacity to think faster? I am pretty sure there was some point in my life in which I was uh, very similar to others in terms of thinking speed, such. And there are also still moments in which I am incredibly overwhelmed by the capacity of thinking that other people have. Why does people nowadays have so much of a normality and so much of a standard of wow? I think low, I think incredibly slowly, and I think barely, if at all, because if not, I am constantly numbing myself with things. When did that happen and why did we allow it to happen? I it goes back to this whole field of the more you expand your view field, the more you learn how much it can be increased. The very same thing here. Why do people disregard their mental capacities and such as something so utterly unimportant? When did you have that kind of transition and why? Like what why would anybody truly stop believing that they can think faster? As in, I don't know. I am certainly baffled and also annoyed that I have to hear so many times others go and say, "No, but don't really, I don't really want to, I don't really want to think so much, or I can't keep up." Yeah, maybe, maybe you can't keep up, and maybe you don't want to right now, but you're aware, no, that you have the capacity of being on literally the same on an even better ground than me. Do you know that? Are you aware of that fact and that it can completely happen? Are you completely sure about this thing? I don't I don't know why people out of nowhere has become so disappointed in everything and why it has I mean I hate sorry. I remember something. I really despise this idea of, wow, I am getting old, therefore I don't have any more responsibilities of taking care of myself. What? Do you really think that at like 30 years old, your brain stops functioning or something like that and you can't learn anything else? You can't increase your physical performance, your mental performance. You can't stop working on things that you might have as well never worked on before. Do you really think it works like that? Do you really believe that we are so incredibly incapable of operating as human beings that potential to do anything has reached its peak at like 20, 21. What are you talking about? But yeah, sorry. The point was that type of people that says, "Oh yeah, but I am old. I can't keep up. You're going too fast. Your generation is the one that has the problem." What? No, man. Our brains don't have that many differences. Literally, the biggest one is the conscious one. The amount of awareness of certain ideas and the amount of awareness about certain tools is what differentiates my people from your people, let's say. But it doesn't really make it that much of a gap. It is knowledge still that you can apply and that you can, at the very least, if you don't have it, extract from others by observing their behaviors and patterns, get somehow the complete hatred that exists towards using these things properly. The big majority of people is what makes this even worse. And nowadays, the point that I was trying to go with here was this. Nowadays, it seems normal to have so many people that says, I think slowly. What? Or, I mean, okay, I understand it. You think slowly, but you know that you can fix it, right? You're not going to live the rest of your life with like 70, 60% of brain capacity. What are you talking about? Why would you give up on something so incredibly important? Do you really like it when you sit in silence and your brain makes white noise? What? You don't enjoy thinking? What's your problem? What? It literally is something wonderful if you can master the capacity of picturing things in your mind. And when you can convey with words more than enough feelings to others, and when you can also make up scenes and entertain yourself with that in your mind, why would you give up that? And why would you do it willingly? What was the point of anything at all if you were going to give up on something so precious like thinking, like having the chance of living through your imagination? But I don't know, that thing basically, and it seems somehow we are not even saying anything to people who act in that way. And I don't know, I guess it is quite normal and it is quite quote unquote understandable. It isn't really understandable. It is justified, I guess, because so far as I have been trying to analyze it more and more, I do believe we are living in a society in which we have an incredibly huge problem of depression. And due to these type of things happening, it seems quite justified to try and seek out ways to not think anymore. Because certainly, when you are in a state of depression, you do tend to have negative thoughts, and your negative thoughts become negative patterns of thinking, in which you can't truly see essentially good eh, aspects of the things that you have in front of you. Therefore, what becomes quite necessary for this type of people is to avoid thinking, but it doesn't really justify the act, first and foremost, of not fighting back against the depression that you feel. And it has been, oh, weird it feels to really say, it has been shown to me. Yeah, I don't know if I will really use that phrase. You learn about it when you live life, let's say it like that. Uh, that a lot of things are truly or mostly related to, first and foremost, your capacity to have will about them. And in this case, maybe it isn't so much of a problem of, I can't get out of my depression because the world doesn't get better. Maybe it won't get better. Okay, let's start from there. Maybe it won't get better. But maybe it is because it can't, it doesn't need to get better. Maybe you're expecting something that will never come. Maybe maybe you're only watching for one particular situation that will never happen, and that everything else is already telling you that it will never arrive. Yet you're depending only on something so external to you and so impossible to make happen that you really decided to give up on everything else. And we have so many people living in such states that it does seem logical to also fall in place and align with those ideas. But the proposition here is maybe, maybe you can try to not be so negative, and you can try to not be so destroyed by your own mind. What was the point of having one if it was going to become your biggest enemy? Why would you even wish to have something like this if you can't even see it as a tool instead of what you call your biggest problem? What? It makes no sense whatsoever. But I don't know. Once again, it is just an observation, something that I was noticing, and something that I heard like 2 times in a row yesterday out of nowhere. Thus, it felt quite weird. It feels annoying to hear it. First and foremost, it is always a discussion born at the very least for me, out of the an annoyment. I think it is because it certainly is a condition, quote unquote, a condition that can be fixed. But people somehow completely reject the possibility of helping themselves in those situations, and they, um, in memes, in terms of memes, they turn completely doomeristic mindset and such, without really having the will to try and see if it can truly be or not be fixed. That is the question. But yeah, I don't know. They, it annoys me too much. So, anyways, I guess completely. Anyways, I guess yeah, I will move on to something different so far. Ah, what a what a crazy thing, and it feels also something quite different at the same time. Is how much we have been here, like 40 minutes? Yeah, 42, and it feels like I didn't say anything at all so far yet. It's like I barely I barely talked, I barely I barely said anything at all. But I don't know. I guess it can be seen like that. Maybe. Yeah, I don't truly know. I lose too much time explaining tinier details that might not really have anything to do with the point at hand itself. So, let me drink water. From there, we will see what I. Yeah. So, from the stuff that I can still mention without any particular visual cue. Um, I haven't. Yeah. I can talk about this one easily. One of the few things that happened in my absence, quote unquote, has been that I finally had taken care of myself, and I have started to finally, like a proper individual, take notes and start personal writings aimed towards the analysis of my own mind and such. It seems weird that I didn't do it before, even more, or mostly because certainly it feels quite good to have the pleasure of thinking and have the pleasure of analyzing oneself when doing so. I guess I always did to a certain extent, but I never used to write down stuff. So now I also have to take the responsibility for writing what I analyze down and what are the outcomes of my observations about myself. I mean, yeah, I remember this very, very clearly because it literally happened yesterday. That I did, for example, go and write something about one particular situation. I can't even remember which one. Sorry, I had to sneeze. Second. Yeah. 1 second. So, anyway, sorry. I was trying to say. Oh, yeah. I remember that I started writing down about some situation that I analyzed already before, like some years ago, I remember. But at the same time, I tried to add something else from that, not only from the analysis itself that I had already performed before, that was already done, there was nothing else to really add, and I can really explain it to anyone who needs to hear about it without any problem. Also, I need to sneeze again. I think I got allergies or something like that. It's nothing really going out there. And, anyways, continuing. The point itself is, um, and it is quite surprising to see that it feels um, easy to do. I guess, I don't know, the friction of my actions and such. That is, yeah, I got allergies. Fuck. Sorry. Anyways, the point is the friction. The friction of my. I, I, I remember this. I think it was from the course itself, even. Mental friction against these type of activities and such. I don't really know where is it that I picked up some aberration against the, the. I think that is kind of the personal development type of writing. That kind of description doesn't really make me feel comfortable when I say it. So maybe it comes from there. I don't know. Anyways, the point is that personal development of ideas and such, and all of that feels quite nice, and all of that is quite useful. But I didn't have that habit, and now I am trying to create it. I am trying my best to have it happen as much as I can. The problem is also, as it happens with any kind of writing, you need to force it, and when you force stuff, like for example here, I am forcing myself to talk. If I did it only based on things that I have the inspiration to do, I might as well have only placed like 2 or 3 sentences on my book, done like 20, 30 streams, nothing really particular or surprising or truly good coming out only of inspiration. It needs to be forced in that sense. Um, the same thing here. It needs to be manipulated by a conscious input, but it doesn't happen that normally. So, that regularly. So, my, my bad, I guess, I don't know. So, anyways, anyway, completely. Give me a second. Hope it isn't going to be a real problem. Since man, please, I have the year I haven't had any problems with allergies, so I would like it if I can remain the rest of this year without any problem still. So yeah, um, continuing with what I was trying to say, because I said anyways, but I am not still done with that idea completely. I noticed something else. Um, Going back to the part of writing and such, it does come easy because it certainly is noticeable how many aspects are always there to analyze and are always there to try and decipher about the personality itself that one has. Obviously, in my case, only referring to my own self, I am not. So far, I have avoided mentioning anybody else in particular. It isn't really necessary for personal writings to include anyone else. So it does feel nice in that sense and in that field. But it does take, once again, it does take some patience to find which things are you willing and which things you're even more capable of properly deciphering about your own self. And in my case, I had some lack, I feel like. I Well, yeah, it doesn't really make sense to say like seeing it properly. After all, there are all ideas that I had already observed before, but to a certain point, I haven't fully digged in terms of my own personality in a lot of areas. I just have what what is a good visual representation would be something like. In the process of understanding what is my personality, I have created something that might as well resemble an, a visible yet not fully comprehensible thing that stretches chords to me. And I can create more and more chords to pull from to keep getting myself closer to understanding what is that one thing that I do call personality. And in doing so, I am obviously resolving those particular ropes that I am using myself to move my own consciousness towards the comprehension of that thing that I try to call personality. But it does happen that by trying to do so, one unavoidably gets tangled not only in that first rope that I grab, but also by those who are very close to it, and even more, those that one didn't even comprehend that they were near that first rope. So, it is quite complex. That is the point. It is quite complex to see how to advance and do so properly without having any particular problem whatsoever in the process of learning. Because it does certainly, at the very least, in my case, consume time. And not just a little bit of time, a lot of time. But yeah, I don't know. I guess at the very least, it, if it feels good like it does, one can continue. And one can justify all of the rest of the experience, I guess, and try to always have it happening like that, let's say. So, with that, I am content. And I wanted to say it because mostly I felt what I started with, I felt like I was really preaching something that I wasn't applying in my case. And it certainly is easy to do so. So I finally took some action in that sense and finally started producing something instead of just quote unquote giving lectures to other people about how they are not responsible in that sense and whatever, when I myself am not doing that. And also something that happens quite a lot lately is that I hear this phrase of a proper psychologist or a psychoanalyst, whichever one, I don't really care. I think, yeah, personally, I don't care so far in the distinction of them. So far, not. I am not a professional, therefore, I don't really understand the differences. Not that I don't. I don't see a value in differentiating them so much so far right now. But the point itself was either of these people needs to be in a constant process of also psychoanalyzing or yeah, taking psychological therapy for themselves because a lot of the experience that needs to be obtained is only born from the process of taking oneself with other professionals and learning how quote unquote other people does it. And it isn't because you're really observing their process, but rather because you become aware of your flaws and you become aware of the thoughts patterns that you possess about certain things. And that is exactly the same thing here. I believe it. It feels like that. I simply want to learn and I want to move with my comprehension of things in a more visual manner, in a more understandable manner, basically, and not to be so much in a yeah in a haze about why things don't seem so clear and why things don't seem so easy and such. So it's basically that applying all of those principles to my own development. Yeah, text based on myself, basically. But yeah. That's it. I guess that's the point. Let me now set up my stuff. I can have what I need at hand and something visual. Yeah, I am not sorry. Okay. I will say it like this. I'm sorry for those who can't really keep up. I feel whole. I I don't like the idea that people can't really keep up with the speed of my exploration of ideas. I feel bad about that, but everything else eh, isn't really something that makes me feel bad as of right now. So yeah, Greta, where are you? Greta, Greta, is this Greta? Is this the Greta layer? Yeah, okay. This is after. So okay, real after like I don't know how much. Uh, okay, after 58, we can finally move into something less abstract and more visual. So yeah, give me a second, once again. There it is. Also, I don't have. Ah, yeah, I do. I thought I didn't have the guitar here. But question: why do I have the? Is this thing incredibly wide? Also, wait, is this white? Is this white? Why is it not? No, it isn't white. What? Wait, is this not? What's going on? Aha, Krita is crashing. Thank you, Krita. That was the most amazing experience I had with you, Greta. Damn, son. I I love you, Greta. Thank you for. Okay, there it is. So yeah, I said I have this too incredibly wide. I don't need a 40 pixels with a pencil. Something like a yeah, like a 10 is fine. It's fine. Kind of. So, anyways, now for real. Finally, with something more helpful to get ourselves with. Let's start with this of stuff. The problem is, I had a lot of ideas in mind. I forgot about them all. I I hate to write down things, so I don't practice writing down. But I guess the problem is mine in that sense, no? So, anyways, stuff, yeah, stuff. No, anyways, let me think about something. Bro, 1 second, sorry. Give me like 1 second. Well, we did discuss about the individual and such. I don't really believe it will be in any particular way necessary to discuss it again. I don't see a benefit in doing so. So I wouldn't like to, once again, indulge ourselves in such a conversation. I, yeah, let me. I'm pretty sure I talked about this in some way before, but okay, process. And there is one word that is lacking, something like this. How to? No, how to. How to increase it. Okay, there it is. Ah, so what are we talking about here? Question, I don't know. No. So I going back to what I talked about before, trying to finally give quote unquote a proper solution to this. Uh, I think certainly, and that will probably be the next point. Problematizing situations that annoy you is quite helpful. In this case, it is literally the same thing. How to solve the problem of as a human being. I find myself saying, "Wow, I think too slowly. I can't believe how much it takes me to think. I hate thinking because it is too much of a slow process on my life. Wow. If you say something like that, what could be a solution? How can we work on that? Besides the okay, yeah, let's try to expose it like this. Okay, that is the first thing, just in case. Ah, starting with I will guess it is kind of important at the same time it isn't really important. It is like you understand about it once you, let's say, start thinking. It makes no real sense to observe these things when in reality you are truly not gaining it or not yourself towards anywhere with that. But just in case, somehow, um, assuming that we believe everything might come to our way to be good, this first warning from here, I guess I will have to explain the type of bad things that are the ones you try to avoid in terms of, yeah, of brain processes and such processes. So, let me are these are um, uh, King and there is another that I should be having here. Distractions, not thinking, and look at spin. Yeah, yeah, quite nice, nice. It has been quite a long time, but also because I barely stream. My bad. Welcome. Anyways, I hope you're doing well. Uh, yeah, yeah. Just in case, quick rundown. We're here explaining stuff right now. The thinking process and how to increase the process of thinking as if it wasn't clear enough. We are simply defining the bad things so far, nothing particularly surprising or like that. So, distractions, not thinking, and what? Uh, I know there is something that I am forgetting, but which one? Ah, this can also think. I can also. Okay, I will say it like this. I guess so. I don't really know if this is the proper description, but for the for this explanation, that is enough. So yeah. Anyways, moving on. As I said before, just in case, explanations and details about which things should be avoided, assuming that somehow somebody is going to say, "Well, you know what? If this isn't being mentioned, it might as well be something that I can also try out." Just in case here they are going to be mentioned in some way or another, and also that it's going to be certain that is I don't mention some things because I don't find ways to really mention them here, but they are also comprised of what is the combination of these, or there are particular parts. They are particular parts of these processes. Let's say so. We have this. There are only three that I am showing, that I am listing. We have first and foremost as always, distractions. Easily distracting yourself isn't going to help you in any particular way. Have a better time dealing with you. In the process of trying to learn about this, just in case, if it is necessary, something quite interesting to learn about this. What the fuck? Dogs? Wow. Wow, wow, wow. It is incredibly early. Why is my dog up at this hour? Anyways, um, can I continue though? Let's give it a second for my dog. Can I continue? Yeah? Okay. I was trying to say, in the process of learning about the mind, something that you will very easily come contact with is the idea that you can't really escape thinking. You're only delaying the process of thinking. So you might as well understand by consequence of that distractions are not a solution. They are only a patch to what you will still need to deal with. They are not really going to help you. They might as well only let you delay the process of confronting that idea. And I mean, it goes a little bit deeper than what I'm just saying here, to which point it goes even deeper, to the point of if you wish to understand how easily or how incredibly painful it will be for you to go over the grief that is born out of negative experiences, if you keep distracting yourself, there will be more grief overall in your life because you're not really confronting your emotions. It has been so far analyzed and found out that statistically speaking, based only on this analysis, the people who feels their emotions and the people who sits with what is going inside of their minds is the one who has an easier time grieving over negative things. So to which extent it goes, the part of distracting yourself is bad, to one which we might as well not even comprehend right now. Secondly, very much the same thing, but just in case considered as a different one, is the fact that you are trying to not think in any particular way, when in reality it is literally impossible to not think. Even when you believe that you're not focusing on anything, you have only put your mind to focus on that one thing. So, yeah, well, sorry. As long as you're not using any particular substance, you will never have the opportunity of not thinking. And if you're using substances to numb your mind, how much worse it will be for you. I, yeah, as somebody who has experienced quite a few things in life, I can talk from the point of view of somebody who at some point thought it was coherent enough to avoid thinking also by means of utilizing alcohol for one of its easiest purposes, decreasing your brain capacities and decreasing the amount of ideas that you have in your mind at all moments, as long as you are intoxicated enough. And certainly, you will, with enough time given, discover that it is something useful to think. The problem is somehow we have antagonized this conception of I have a mind and I can't live there. I have a mind and I can't be safely there. And that is something that somehow is completely safe to say nowadays. It makes no sense whatsoever. It hurts everyone around you. But we have taken no action to try and change that uh, narrative so far. So it seems okay to numb yourself or to keep yourself from thinking about those things that you need to think about. Because, oh no, it is going to be so bad. And lastly, you have the overfocus aspect. And that is kind of easy to describe because it is also the most present one in life. I believe you will always see people that over focuses on one particular thing. And the problem is, can't, there are too many things that somebody can obsess over just to avoid thinking by itself. Be it that they are obsessed over other people, playing games, watching a series, doing one particular type of activity. Sometimes, as I said before, these things intertwine between themselves. Sometimes you will find somebody who is supposedly doing something good for others when in reality they are only distracting themselves out of their responsibilities by over focusing on something that lets them not think out their problems, but they are not really being either useful to anybody or they're causing more harm than good because they are doing something of a lesser good by being in the place that they are supposedly helping others than how much of a goodness it will do to take the responsibility of that thing which they have to deal with, let's say. So, yeah, it is complex to talk about this thing, but the main point is still only that people can and will find ways to not think. But implying that we have reached this point, it should be quite obvious that you might as well, let's say, are willing to discover how to increase the process of thinking. So, expanding on the proper response now, is this an AI? Am I AI? No, I am not AI. Sorry, I don't feel like I have that much of a monotone voice, but my bad if it feels monotone. I mean, or my bad, really? Is that the first thing? Ah, anyways, welcome, Adam. Don't worry. This is not a this is not a test. They will say also. Um, but yeah, continue with this. These distractions and things. Okay, we are on. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I do have enough of. I guess I failed. I don't know. I Savannah, Savannah, go to sleep. Yo, Savannah, go to sleep, Savannah. You're exhausted. Go to sleep. There will be more streams. Go to sleep. Take a break or something. Don't worry. Uh, yeah, yeah. Uh, your philosophy time? What will it be? What will it be? AI? Are there AI philosophy channels? I haven't seen it in a while, but welcome. I hope you can enjoy it. It isn't really. It is right now. We're mostly in. I think it is psychological. I wouldn't call it true philosophy, but yeah, as always. Any question, please ask. I I think it should be quite obvious, but any question, please ask. Ah, I know why it is that you talk about. I have I have something that says. Let me see the message. Let me refresh the page. What does it say? The pin? It says something like pin. My chat, yeah, pin. It's the pin. If it is about, I got it coming for, but I didn't want to run it just in case. Yeah, uh, I can unpin this. Can I unpin? Unpin. There it is. It was about a weird watch that I don't know. I think it is not a what, but at the very same time, it has literally what instead of its name that followed me and that gave me kind of the brainworms. Sorry. Anyways, moving on, continuing. Yeah, as Crespian said, we are trying to explain this how to avoid being distracted on one hand, but in reality, the main point is how to become better at thinking. I will say how to become more practical. I don't know. I don't think it is practicality, but yeah, the point itself being this. So let me continue. Uh, how to increase it? Literally, the first question. Um, it should be quite understandable, and the problem is at the very same time also something quite observable is that this how to increase it and how to avoid thinking are very much this different faces of the same coin. They are not really complete opposites, as in terms of, wow, they have nothing to do with one another. No, they are part of the same process, and sometimes you can kind of help yourself by distracting your mind from doing what it needs to. But the reality is, no, you're not doing yourself that much of a favor by ignoring what you need to think about. It is not that good. The benefits are vastly overshadowed by the negative consequences of avoiding responsibilities. It is just said, yeah, let me say like this. It is just said sometimes that people can gain good things from the bad moments in their lives. But in this case, in the consideration of how to have a better time thinking, when you allow such a possibility in your mind, what you are creating, I have come to realize is you're planting a seed of doubt, which allows you later on to justify bad behaviors and lets them pass as mildly useful experiences that shape your character, let's say. In this case, it isn't only character, or it isn't in general character, it is only mental capacities. But in general, the thing I just explained happens in life. And that can be used in this case to justify that, wow, I am being so good by avoiding to think. I am not tiring myself so much because I can numb myself by going out with my friends for a little bit. And I can, by not thinking so much for like, I don't know, 5 hours, I can later on work at my com- fullest potential. Yes or no? If you're numbing yourself, you're probably not really taking care of what you need. And even more, if you're needing substances to do so, you're creating physical deterioration inside of your brain, not something that we are considering here, like just avoiding to think. Physical deterioration is something that can't be easily or directly even solved. So, yes, once again, they are not so far apart from one another, but it doesn't really justify most of our actions. So, continuing with the explanation, sorry for the longer side of this. I should put that somewhere, but I will take care of that later on. Not right now. I don't feel like doing it right now. How do we take care of this? Sorry, good question. I don't know. So, is it is it like that or is it with C? I love being Excel. It's like this. Well, I mean, the problem is there are kind of a lot of ways to so the this list shouldn't be just 3 points like the other one, and the other one really shouldn't be just 3 points. But my bad, I guess. Also, I didn't ever do that, Bob. Sorry, but terrible. Sorry. Uh, so this was exercise. Yeah, self. Something else, shall we? Uh, yeah. Uh, okay, there it is. 4 points. Four. Just in case. Very, very tiny. The last one. Anyways, continue. Now, for real. Um, on to the explanation itself of how to deal with this, with the thinking process, with the activity of thinking, and how to be better at that, basically. Um, we start with the most important thing of everything in this case, think. Literally to think, to begin thinking. Because assuming that somehow, not only you think that stuff is fine, everything is fine, but you even find yourself doing this, no. Time to first step, think. Number one thing, think. Start thinking. Start using your brain. Start moving. Start having brain activity. Release those neurons into the wild and go and imagine stuff. Be, basically. Do things and think. And let that happen as much as it needs to. Because there it is that you will gain a lot of advantages. But if you keep avoiding it, nothing else will work. Nothing else will really change anything else here. Because everything is preceded by accepting the responsibility of thinking. So yeah, from here, second, well, the only main thing is thinking. Everything else is really out of order. There is no real wow. This is second and this is third. No, it just happens that the first one is really important. Like obviously, self-apparently important. That amount of importance it has. So everything else, first and foremost, no, it isn't foremost. Sorry, my brain defaulted. Firstly, exercising yourself in certain situations, because the moment in which you accept that you can imagine stuff is the moment in which you gain also the capacity of putting yourself in mental scenarios in which you might as well not normally be. And the more weirder you can make them, the more you can place yourself in them also properly, and the more you can be capable of projecting those things later on into your daily life process of thinking by way of having overexerted capacities, quote unquote, to think about something so out of the ordinary that the ordinary becomes easier to understand by itself. That is why, in a lot of ways, being capable of dealing with an overly complicated situation will help you also to be capable of dealing with lower levels of complexity situations of the same kind. The strangeness doesn't really describe only weird and completely completely alien type of situations. It is something more along the lines of strange, as in something that you have yet not experienced, and that is at the same time. Once again, sorry, it sounds weird. It sounds very weird, I know, because there are parts of this that relate to thinking itself about things that you haven't experienced, and you can't. How can you think about something that you have never experienced if you have literally never once through anything like that? So that is already something quite hard to figure out. If I had to not lose so much time, if I had to give one clue, what would be probably you can learn about how others felt going through those situations and the descriptions themselves, and with good enough descriptions and feelings, you can project yourself into those situations once you feel enough of the puzzle that is the state the of everything in that particular setting. But playing out the situations themselves is incredibly hard still. So from here on, good luck. Yeah. Now, another thing is, I guess they are not really divided. Sorry, my bad. Is analyze the process itself. It says there we're talking about. In this case, the second point goes a little bit deeper because it requires you to be capable of um, self-analysis, and sometimes it is meta-analysis because you don't even consider yourself as yourself. You analyze only the process, and by doing so, it is that you realize where it can be increased and how it can be made better. Sorry, all of this takes a lot of thinking process itself, but once again, the main objective is in this case to become better at thinking. You can't be better at something like this if you can't even realize what is it that you are lacking, let's say. So it is part integral of this process to take into your hands the responsibility of understanding what is it that you lack right now, or what is it that the process that you go through every single time that you think about something lacks. The hmm? University degree in thoughts. Okay. The good question. Incredibly good question. Yeah. As in, which validity does it have? Um, I will tell you probably the most realistic thing that I can give you. The most realistic response will be inner thoughts. I don't have a degree, so don't take me fully seriously, please. I wouldn't recommend you take me in that sense. Wow, this guy knows what he's talking about. I might have a yeah, uh, as a as somebody who has a high interest on this type of discussions and such. I I do indulge in this type of content myself, so I know that I know it, but I don't know from where is it that I have learned this. In my university, for example, we haven't talked about the thinking process at all. We have only this. Yeah, I am doing, just in case, I am doing a psychology degree, and there we barely talk about individuals so far. We don't really indulge in this type of discussions. I know at some point I did come across discussions like this one, um, where it was being analyzed how somebody can understand the process of things, but mostly if you have to explain it, is I am I am doing, let's say, a presentation based on my own understanding about how this can be performed better based on the clues that they were left behind. Let's say. Um, oh yeah. Thank you. If this is interesting, then I don't know, player. I guess I will call you that, or a player from somewhere, if you want it fully. But yeah, thank you for the question. Then, so yes, basically that. Don't worry. I also know that it makes sometimes all the sense in the world. Continue. Uh, yeah. So we were only on the second part of analyzing the process itself. The problem is you need to have, let's say, a high capacity of analyzing things, and that only comes with a good critical capacity born out of a mind that fully understands how to think by itself in the most basic of the levels. Because sometimes what happens in this part of the process of, let me say it like this, in the, how do we say it? The process of processing your own age here. Yeah. In this part, there is an incredible thoughts. What? What is the what? Thoughts with, yeah, is TS? What I am lacking? Ah, yeah. I am. I was like, what? What's the spelling? But anyways, like what? Also, sorry. Hello, Wukong. I hope you're doing well, man. I know it is like incredibly early. Is it early? Did you go to sleep, Bonko? Welcome. Uh, anyways, yeah. So we're on this, on the part of the process of processing your own thought process. Uh, that is a sentence. Um, requires you to be capable of thinking enough about what is, first and foremost, your own your own thought process, be capable of thinking about it, and be capable of then thinking about this thing that goes on by itself. Let's say it like this: there are like three different layers here, so it is quite complex. Um, and so don't worry, player. Understandable. I know that I type incredibly slow. Someday I want to use a mouse and I will write a little bit faster. And also, hey, there is no problem. Like, nobody's calling you back, man. But yes, continue with this. The process of processing your own thoughts process needs you as I said before, or in different words, to not repeat exactly the same. Once you understand that you have your own process, you need to process that as its particular thing. Because in the analysis of what you are doing and in the proper observation of your process of realizing this process, sorry if it is too worthy, you realize then and there which things you lack. And if you don't even have the capacity realizing anything at all, then that is already a clue as to a next point is the usage of the knowledge left by others, because and so much more in nowadays world, the amount of information available to have an easier time with this is incredibly. So by learning then what are the common problems, which ways are the common ones that somebody can try to solve these problems, which things happen normally in people and such, by doing these things and accepting that maybe we are not so different from another, and maybe these situations also apply to us, and maybe we also have the same biases as everyone else. In the process of these things, is that one learns about oneself and can integrate better with this goal of, as I said before, how to have a better thinking process. Also, yeah, Bunko, I completely forgot. Sorry. Uh, what we're doing right now is explaining how to have a better thinking process, how to think faster, let's say, in shorter words. Uh, Warning, ignore these things. Don't get distracted. Don't try to not think. And don't over focus on anything. But here, explanation is how to think. Do stuff. Think about how you think and use what others have left behind for you to think about. And just in case, last point, as it says here, focus. What does it mean to focus? I think it's going to be hard to understand what it means, but just something. The learning process and the process of thinking, both of them relate in general not to every single area of life. Maybe you can be the best, let's say, cook, but at the same time, you can't know how to drive a car. There are different processes that need to go online in your brain. So you are going to learn about one thing. In this case, maybe, perhaps, let's say like this, you might want to only think about how you might think faster. Okay, from there on, what are you going to do? Because there might not be a final point, but there might be a point which you feel satisfied with, let's say. So it takes consideration. It isn't so easy to say, wow, so so simple. No, isn't like that. So yes, once again, patience and find something that you can do for long enough periods of time. Um, so I think I'm not forgetting any, but I have a problem. I need to take, as they will call it, an idol break. So please, I need to go somewhere. So I will be back. Thank you. But not without changing scenes first. There it is. Second. Yeah, yeah, yeah. 1 second, 1 second. we're not in hot potatoes. That's why the thing is a potato, I believe. I I don't know. Anyways, I'm back. Eh, yeah. Uh, I don't know. Thank you for liking it. I don't know if it makes sense to say it. Uh, Back to here. We're done with this now. Completely done with this thing. Uh, yeah, I didn't really use that much of the canvas. perhaps, perhaps I need to add more text. Perhaps, maybe I don't want to add more text. That is also true. Uh, am I forgetting something? I no, yeah, I don't think this idea by itself doesn't really have that much more to. That's everything that you need to know. Everything else is, I don't know, experience. Let's say. So yeah, that's it so far. See, is it control? Yeah, it is control. And I know hotkeys. I am amazing at this, bro. Uh, I am an innate user of Krita, opinion into something different, into a different analysis of a different subject, because I have nothing else to say about that last one. I I don't. I had. Can we please give? Uh, Aha, Krita is going to crash. Yeah, let's let's give it a second. Krita decides to not crash. Krita, hello. Krita, Krita. This isn't on white. Why is it not? Does this not have any layer? What? It does? What? What's going on with Krita, man? What's? Aha, there it is. Okay, yeah. Not responding. Don't worry. Give it a second. It will work. We have to hope that. And if it doesn't, my bad. Eh, man, Krita, my beloved. Anyways. Okay, there it is. Yeah. And there is also everything else that should have appeared. Yeah. At least it's free. I guess I don't know. So, Krita, can you please not crash? This is this is fun. Uh, yeah, this is amazing. We're going to keep waiting on Krita. Well, I guess the next topic, the topic, the next topic, something. Can Microsoft? No, Microsoft can't do that. That's the problem. It can't do. Yeah, at least the Windows 10 version can't do the same thing. You know, that's quite a nice problem. And also, I think Microsoft doesn't even have some functions like it doesn't let you zoom in and out so easily. Like you need to use the zoom tool, and it only lets you like zoom in with right click and left click. It's incredibly clunky. But yeah, Microsoft. Don't ask me. It is weird. Ah, so now for real. Krita working on next topic. I didn't really choose to anything so far. So I am in a pinch. Maybe not. Yeah, I think I am over focusing on thinking. Maybe, maybe, perhaps that's my problem. Perhaps. Okay, there it is. Yeah, this quick thinking and its consequences. I don't really think it is that negative, but at the very same time, I had a talk with a I wouldn't call it, yeah, somebody I know. Let's say like that. Somebody I know, um, and they pointed out to me that certainly the world has changed a lot because people tends to think a lot faster nowadays, and I don't think it is true, but at the very same time, I don't really believe we have lost that much. So let me make my case here. Um, yeah, yeah, it makes it works better, but the problem is I don't even know in Krita which hotkey it is to use the typing stuff. So I I am here stuck writing it by hand. If- but yeah, yeah, I get what you mean because I also like it like that way. I, I I I don't know. It's painful, but we have to deal with this whatever we can. But anyways, sorry. Continue with the point was yeah. I will simply try to talk about it, and I guess I will also add their point. Certainly, I I don't think it is that bad, but maybe we are going to see someone. Hmm? Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is draining, but okay, it will need elaboration. But in short, stuff like the problem is that nowadays the world is slowly accommodating more and more faster thinkers, and because this happens, the older generations are being quote unquote gapped more and more, and there is less accessibility for everything for those who don't think so fast. In in other times, we used to have things like IQ to difference ourselves and do it so almost discriminatorily. Nowadays, we have brain processing power, let's say, in terms of in terms of classes, let's say, a kid thinks a lot faster nowadays than they did, like, I don't know, 50 years ago. And the technologies that they have facilitated for them are a lot less accessible for their parents like they used to be before. Sometimes, yeah, nowadays it is a lot easier to not even get what a kid is doing with their phone because you can't follow up what's going on the screen, let's say. And yeah, on the other hand, also what Karesman says is true. The process of thinking can be optimized. It it does depend. It can be optimized in general. I mean, that shouldn't be that much of an strange idea that you can consume less energy. Keep. I mean, going back to this. Give me a second. Going back to this. Yeah. In the analysis of the process itself, maybe you're there is a point in which the friction that you are always experiencing by having to think about stuff is higher than the amount of ideas that you can process. Therefore, the backlash that you gain from trying to force your brain to think is bigger than what you really get to learn. I mean, yeah, also at the same time, yeah, but I don't think the point is to be fully efficient. I think the point is to not exhaust yourself from thinking. But maybe I'm putting words into Crespian mouths. Anyways, moving on. Let me explain what you discuss. Thank you. Uh, is that an O? No, that's not an O. Okay. I probably misspelled this. Greta, don't. Oh my god. Greta, please don't crash. I beg you, Greta. Let me, at the very least, finish writing this. Yeah, I will even argue what adding to what player says. Maybe we are even having too much. Maybe if you become too dependent on the sugar that is contained in the foods that you consume, you end up creating like a dependency on that to function quote unquote properly. Like same as with coffee, you know? I can't off. What the process of stomach? Okay, allow me to what's in. Allow me to what's in. Then I see. I see that you don't fully remember. It happens that there is a threshold in which your brain can't really convert sugars so easily into its purest form. It gets triglycerides. It's one thing, but let me translate the other word because I know it only in Spanish. that is something that we saw. Phospholipids, that's the other word. Um, the phospholipids are also what they get more easily transformed into. You don't have that much of an easy time uh, making sugar directly into like yeah, sorry. Um, yeah, yeah. That's that's a way to increase it, certainly. But I don't know how much of that those reserves are used on the brain though. Uh, I think the lower parts of the body don't really interact that much with the nervous system in general. Besides, obviously, the most fundamental aspects of that. But yeah, so far true. On in shouldn't this be okay? Yeah, yeah. It's impressive. Like certainly, it depends on what we're talking about. But yeah, it does. It does work minimally good. At the very least, it haven't crashed fully. Like in, I think in the last 3 or 4 sessions, it hasn't crashed fully. So I have my eye out on probably better, more optimized software. But so far, I am not at the point of taking the change. Let's say. Uh, it's going to be like a lot to explain. Oh, that's my problem. Okay, I'm almost done. I need just what the fuck? Oh my god, how much text I can fit? I thought I was like here. Man, why did I punch everything so close? Sorry. Please excuse me. I didn't mean to make it so tiny. Is it understandable? I mean, I can understand myself. Wow. Uh, Yeah, let me explain before it gets even longer. So, hold on. Okay, yeah, yeah. Before I start, I guess it depends how much we are talking about things, no? Um, there is certainly a degree of interest that is brought upon me, say, when we consider this stuff. Sorry if I am being too recursive into this, but this is one of these things that I can focus on, let's say. And I always wanted to investigate this by myself. No, 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 don't worry, don't worry. I mean, it is better to start responding than to start with this because this is going to take a lot. So imagine if you send that and you have to wait like, I don't know, 15 minutes. you know? Ah, don't worry. So, continuing. It is something that I have a lot of an easier time thinking about. It is also something that I enjoy thinking about. And it is something that I am comfortable sharing with others. Because I think I don't know if I did say it or not. I do think it is quite important to have a lot of this stuff in life, quote unquote, philosophical content and psychological content. It should be more like day to day life experiences, something more common that everybody should go through. And I am trying to slowly, first and foremost, be capable of communicating that well enough myself. And then later on, let's say, create awareness about this thing. So we are only seeing me bloom that sense. This is like, let's assume, if this were to be here 5 years into the future, this was all practice, incredibly useful practice to learn about how to communicate ideas better, to later on go and I don't know, give a lecture, probably something like that. So yeah, the desire to inform people, that is the biggest motivating factor for me instead of anything else. As I said, I think it is quite important, and we're not paying enough attention to it from my side. I mean, uh, yeah, the real longer response takes more time, but that is the short one. So yeah, I hope that answers your question in it. Thank you. Yeah, and so kind of explained this before. We kind of got a little bit of discussion about this, about how is it that quick is affecting the. But going now into a little bit, or just explaining what is here, better to say. We have first and foremost, as I said here, that the world is adapting itself more with better the needs of those who have a faster brains in general. The type of entertainment that we are creating, stuff that we are starting to guys is a lot say young people because it, it is something bad to do so, but rather it becomes important for this point later on because it as it says here, we are not even taking into consideration those who didn't have the capacity of adapting. This goes a little bit back to a problem that does exist, let's say, in society, sadly. Um, we have people who doesn't really enjoy trying to even help people nowadays. We have this older generation of people who has been ingrained with this idea it isn't worth it to take care of my own problems, therefore I should avoid thinking about them at all. And it is slowly starting to become not just a problem, one of the many, but rather the biggest problem, because kind of on the tier point, mostly in a world in which you don't have enough accommodations, you will unavoidably feel left out. But at the very same time, if you are not taking the chance to solve this problem, there will be, that was the point of our discussion, there might be coming like a crisis in which the older generation confronts the newer one, because how is it that they have so many tools at their disposal while the older people is slowly not having the chance to do so anymore? Like, for example, uh, what's the word on English? Static phone. Uh, it isn't still, right? That is literal translation. Uh, the phone that used to be in everybody's house, that is no more a thing. For example, that's something that was so incredibly useful before, that nowadays is almost an an external alien idea to think about. Why would you have one singular phone that everybody can use in the house instead of everybody having their own individual one? Stuff like that happens. Things like the fact that, I mean, even traffic has become faster. We have slowly, and that is something that you can go and Google right now. We have started to increase speed limits in a lot of places. We have allowed a lot more mobility to happen in other ways than just walking. World in general is going faster. Even shows, I mean, that's the problem. It occupies too many places. Entertainment itself, be it a show, be it a movie, be it the type of content that is contained inside of them. Everything is made to accommodate those who need them more, while not taking into consideration those who came before them and who are still existing in the same reality as them. It isn't like we have fully transitioned into a faster mind society. Wow, no, we're still having both of them existing at the same time, while somehow not even taking care of the latter one. Why? Good question. I don't really have a response as to why. That's why I also wanted to try and analyze it. I don't, so far I haven't really found a response as to why is it that we do things like this one. I I do guess maybe from my point of view, it can be argued that perhaps it physically isn't it like yeah. Basically, is it with pH? Eh? I don't know. I am ESL. I have my excuse there. Time. Okay, there it is. So the response to this was what I was trying to say. Sorry for cutting myself off. I wanted to explain it, but I think it will be easier to have a little bit of text to accommodate what I'm talking about. And it happens that when we were talking about this, something very particular comes to my mind, and that is the notion of there is always innovation going on in the human species as a whole. But at the very same time, what we don't take enough care of is the reality. Nowadays, what we are creating is sufficing our needs in terms of tools that our physical body can't do. That's why, for example, since the industrial revolution, we have started to make bigger and better tools to deal with those tasks that needed hundreds or thousands of humans. The very same thing happens with the creation of the computer and how much more of the portable computer started to have the computational capacities of 1,000 people contained inside a single chip that can show you everything. And the problem itself is not that we have too many needs and we're advancing too fast, but rather, once again, that I will say so. I would argue from a reasoning standpoint, probably, we believe we have the older type of people covered when we don't really possess enough notions as to why they are struggling. That might be an explanation as to why it happens. It doesn't really solve the problem, but it kind of shows where to try and begin with a solution of it. No, it doesn't really get people to think faster. Let's say it simply happens that I don't know. It simply happens that it might, in any way, appeal to the desire to not be anymore these conundrums. They will say. So I don't know. Let me let me add the second part here because I didn't add it now on too. Sorry, but yeah, it isn't that weird of an idea. I think so. Why are my is my writing carving upwards? What's up? Why is it carving up? Anyways, anyways, whether it is, yeah. So, excuse me for this. I don't know what was I think when that happened. Anyways, so the explanation I think is something like this one, like what it says there. Perhaps the world in which we desire to spend so much with all the actions that we possess, we stop looking in the necessity of being closer, let's say, to an emotional level with us because we believed that it was going to naturally happen. Everything else also helped that, when in reality, it doesn't naturally occur that you connect with others better because you have a phone or not. It only occurs that you can be closer to others because of factors that have nothing to do with the different type of technologies that you possess. Therefore, those who are completely alienated from these technologies find themselves completely lost and without a voice in this world where they need to once again try to reclaim their positions in a society that is slowly leaving them behind. Because, yeah, because nobody is there to really pay attention to the problem itself, let's say. And not because this problem is not apparent enough, but rather because we believe that it is going to get fixed out of nowhere because of the importance that it has. We are talking about so much people and yeah, so many humans being all affected by this that it should somehow be solved. But nobody's really taking measures to try and solve it itself, let's say. This whole idea of the more people that observes it, the less people really acts upon it. The same basic thing here. Literally the same stuff here. We literally have like, I don't know, perhaps thousands of people. When? Sorry, it is my computer fan. Yeah, sorry. There is a computer fan. And also, maybe it is that I'm again one of the debuffs of being ESL is I'm Argentinian, and in the Rioplatense accent, we tend to overpronounce the S. So there is a lot of ceasing, I think it is called. So that might also be it. I don't, sorry, I don't take into account that sometimes, and I forget that I can't directly speak into the mic because it picks up everything. Sorry, but yeah. For, yeah, that's the point, I guess. That's, I believe, so far what we have. Maybe, maybe there is something else that I should also be trying to consider. But so far, this seems to work. Yeah, here. I knew that I left something. Um, if that the if I was looking. Crispian, thank you for it. Ah, really, this doesn't really say anything at all. It is like political words, let's say, political speech, I think it is called, where somebody acts like they are saying something when there is nothing really being stated, because everybody can accept that there needs to be an agreement by both sides. But what does it mean? Okay, what's the point of that? Why will both sides agree on anything at all? Like, what's the point? What's the point of this? Yeah, why? I think the proper explanation would be something like, perhaps if both sides were to try and communicate with one another instead of being like they are right now, in an state in which it barely happens that the notion of this problem exists inside of people from both sides, the moment in which they take care and the moment in which they accept the responsibility of analyzing and trying to solve it is the moment in which it minimally starts to get solved. Not because it is so easy to get solved, but rather because both sides are trying their best to do so and willing to give up whatever it is that they can't maintain in order for, once again, both sides to remain after the agreement is made. Assuming certainly that the older people are not going to see themselves as something less valuable than what they are. Because even if, and that is more like an ethical problem, no? Even if older people is obviously closer to death, it doesn't really mean that older people has no utility. If only we are basing ourselves in the amount of lifespan that is remaining on humans, then a lot of people will not be valid anymore because their lifespan is closer and closer to finishing and expiring. We don't live in a society in which we execute people because they are closer to dying or anything like that. It makes no sense whatsoever to believe that now, out of nowhere, we are going to take such an stance and believe that, wow, you know, you, because you're older and you can't think faster than others, you deserve to die. What? What the fuck? Where does that come from? What? That is literally the same as other type of is it racism? I am pretty sure. Some kind of discrimination. Sorry. Discrimination, that's the word. Discrimination. Unnecessary discrimination. Just because somebody has different capacities than you. It is like the very same thing as with, I don't know, it shouldn't be about the word, right? Special needs. The same thing as with someone like that. That because they are special needs, it doesn't mean that you can't coexist with them. It makes no sense whatsoever to disregard somebody who thinks slower than you, even less, how much more. A whole generation of people, or the whole group of generations that comes before you. But yeah, once again, it doesn't really make consideration of this. It just happens that this problem exists. That's true, yeah. That's the true truth of this matter. But everything else is really not that much more surprising, I guess. So, anyways, with this we have done more than enough of a good job. So I'm happy with this. I guess. I guess no. I know. Guess I know. I know that. Let's say. I guess. Anyways, basically that we are done. I think so. At least for today. Well, basically that's it. I don't know how much did we even last. 2 hours and a half. Okay. Basically. As always, I guess it's a pleasure to. But we can't. I sadly have to agree on the part of thinking consumes brain energy, and consuming brain energy is quite tiring. So I am sorry if I leave too early, let's say. But next time, as I said before, I will find a way to not time ourselves out so much. Believe on that and have hope that I won't I don't know, have an brain rot, kill me or something like that. Anyways, sorry. As always, thanks for being here. It is a pleasure to talk about and discuss. As I said before, it is quite a bit sharing this experience, and I guess certainly slowly work towards making sense out of reality. I guess so. Yeah. Um, thanks as always. But something quote unquote more important, it has come to an end. So and it's kind of a problem. It's not that people to relate. Can I? There's some people alive. Wait, something. Let me. Okay, give me 5 minutes. I don't like it when people doesn't take enough responsibility themselves. Do you understand how weird it is to bathe in the sun? How useful it is for your body? How wonderful it is to also let your brain function in a proper time setting instead of forcing yourself to work in the worst of the conditions. And not because you're forced to do it, you literally can choose to do it. Yet somehow you decide to not do it. What's the point of punishing yourself so much? Why would you choose to not to be awake at this hour if you have the option of doing so? Yeah, I have insomnia. Wow. Are you working on solving it? I also suffer from insomnia. Do you hear me complaining about? I don't know. That's besides the point, I guess. The original point, as I was trying to say, yes, there is not enough people awake right now, so I will have to guess where we go next to. But yes, at the very least, here we are. We did something, and with that I'm happy. Uh, completely. Sorry, I don't know. Life happens. Life happens to one, or does one happen in life? Huh? Uh-huh. We don't know. Nice. Here, I found someone to raid. So let me set it up, and then, as always, people, it's a pleasure, but it also has come to an end. Why? Because I have choice. Sorry, sorry. So, anyways, as I was saying, it has been my utmost enjoyment here. I hope, and yeah, thanks for here. Thanks for looking. Thanks for watching the VOD. Thanks as always, and please keep yourself safe, hydrate, sleep if you need, and have to. Responsibilities are good. So yeah, whenever you can, back here. If not, at the very least, we enjoy what happened now. But important is right now to raid someone. You me please. Playing. So people, please enjoy your break. No more mental activity whole day. I hope so. Well, in reality, if you want to learn, do so. How much are you going to help yourself, your future self, by learning? It's going to be wonderful. So yeah. Anyways, goodbye. Until next one. And thanks for everything. It's always a pleasure to be here. Thanks. What the fuck? Are you here expecting a secret message? What do you mean?